I think I'm a natural hustler. I think I've always been a person who was really self-reliant, and like as a kid I'm a self-soother, so I never really like cried. I'd just suck my thumb. Like instead I'd always be like, no one's gonna come and save me. I should just be able to like get myself through these situations. So I think it's just been in my nature to want to do things and be a DIY artist and like make things happen and create things out of nothing, because like I know what it's like growing up and having absolutely nothing, and then like having to make something of that. And that I took that thing I'd learned just from growing up, I've just put it also into my artistry. I'm trying to think of opportunities that almost didn't happen. I've had opportunities that haven't happened that have taught me never to let things not happen ever again. I've had like publishing deals be on the table, contracts has been written and negotiated, and like conversations that were outside of my control happen and take those opportunities away from me. And the thing that like I took from that is, and it's like you have to be, your vision has to be so clear as an artist that like you're able to communicate to that to your team around you, so no one can say the wrong thing and like and take opportunities from underneath your feet or from the grasp of your hand, because they don't understand what your vision is and they don't understand how a conversation about you should go. And like, so it's, for me, I've always just thought I'm the sort of person now that I formulate, and this is why this period of time, the quarantine, was a bit of a hit in the beginning, because I formulate years ahead. I know what January is going to look like, February, March, April, May. I know what all of these months are going to look like from like September the year before. I've got days penciled in. I've got plans and dreams and things that like, I always just say I want to have an album that doesn't even exist yet. I want to have this album that hasn't even been made yet to be being released in September, from the September before. And I want these so-and-so artists to be featured on it or something like that. And I'm just drawing that up. I'm literally writing it down on a piece of paper, or I have like a little vision board thing. I'm writing it there. And like, one, you make it, my mum always says, you make it like solid in the spiritual realm first. So like, if you're a hopeful or a faithful person, then like, you know in yourself that thing is going to happen. If it's that you've prayed about it, you've written about it, you've meditated over it, you've put it into your consciousness, as soon as it goes into your consciousness, like that starts to drive the direction in which you move. Like that's like anything. If you're thinking about pizza so much, at some point you're going to end up eating pizza and you won't even realize you've gone out and gotten it. You'll be on autopilot almost. I'm the sort of person where I understand so much how like what goes into your psyche affects how you perform. So then I make sure I'm like constantly planning what I'm going to do. Then there is, away from like the more spiritual thing, it's like I'm an opportunist, as in I recognize how human people are, and like that's worked for me, I guess, after like the harder things in my career, when like deals are falling through or like things haven't really worked out so hard, or the results I expected to get I didn't get. I realized how human everybody is, and like even in terms of where they fail, you have to one, if you're an artist, you have to create conditions in which things won't fail, which is really difficult because human nature is to sometimes be unpredictable, but a lot of it is to be very predictable. It's to realize that like people can forget, and like people can promise you things and not go and not come through, and like you have to create fail safes. If that is just like making sure, like I'm a favors person. I never really like to discuss money in terms of my motivation to do things, because most of the best things that have happened in my career, someone asked me for a favor, I did that favor and it returned to me tenfold. As in, someone might have just asked me to put backing vocals on something, and before I know it, that song has ended up on a television show, and like the payout I got from the television show was so much that person could have even like broke me off for doing it in the first place. Or like I ended up at the playlist retreat, and that was because my friend was just like, oh, would you come and do this show last minute? And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I will, maybe I will. I was like, yeah, let me do it, this is my boy. Ends up being Dane Jordan's show. He's Jazzy Jeff's MC, hitting it off with these guys like no one's business. And then before I know it, a few months later, I'm at Jeff's house, and I'm like, how did I get here from like a set? It was like a 20-minute long set that I did, just last minute decision, and I was like 50-50, and like even between the time of the show and being at the playlist retreat, the day after sending my music to Jeff, he said he loved it. He sent me some beats back. We worked on the tune. Then he does another show in the UK. We're in his, the green room talking. And I was just like, hey, the playlist retreat, it looks really cool. He was like, don't worry, I'm thinking about you. I didn't think he was being serious. Then fast forward to probably like a month after that, getting an email from his management saying, hey, you've been invited. And I'm just like, it's conversations. If I didn't mention it, maybe he would have even forgot. Like, when it comes down to it, he might have forgotten, because I'm all the way in London. It's very easy to forget about me when you're like hundreds of thousands of miles away and you're dealing with 120 other artists. So like, it's things like that, just recognizing people are human, and like sometimes you have to even take an idea that you have and place it into someone else's head. Like, a lot of the opportunities I've had have come from me just making suggestions, because I had a dream like a few months ago about like how cool it would be to be an ambassador for a particular company or something like that, speaking to someone that knows someone and saying, hey, you guys don't really have a lot of female producers on your website or something like that. That person would be like, yeah, you're right. Knowing that, and the one thing I know about people is that they really can't keep secrets. So I might have that conversation in confidence, knowing very well that like that's a good idea, and that person is going to want that idea to look like it was theirs. So they're going to go off and have that conversation with that person. And who's the person when they're looking for a female producer to be the ambassador of that company? They're not going to be able to find another one around other than me. So like, I just think about things like that. It's like human nature is just that. And also then it kind of just makes navigating music a little bit easier, because it is a minefield. It is a very difficult industry and it's really hard to get up, but like it's very easy to just do the things that like you feel are very possible if you just have confidence and you see people as human beings and you just reach out. Most of the time people will like hit you back, and before you know it, magic is happening.